Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today that might make you uncomfortable, but it just might change your life. 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. It is the year you decide to stop talking about change and finally become it. Not next month, not next year, not when things feel right. Right now. See, too many people walk into a new year with old habits, old fears, and the same excuses. They want new results, but they keep repeating the same behaviors. That don't work. If you want 2026 to be different, you have to be different. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to push you. This year is going to respond to what you do, not what you wish. People keep waiting on luck like it's going to knock on their door one morning and say, "Today is your day." But let me tell you something real. Luck is overrated. Luck didn't build anything meaningful. Decisions did. The truth is 2026 is not going to change your life just because the number on the calendar changed. It will only change if you make different decisions than the ones you made before. Every life you admire is the result of a series of hard, uncomfortable, intentional decisions made when it would have been easier to quit. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they keep choosing comfort over growth. Every day, you are deciding something, whether you realize it or not. You are deciding to wake up early or hit snooze. You are deciding to work on your dream or scroll through someone else's success. You are deciding to save money or waste it. You are deciding to discipline yourself or make another excuse. These small decisions look harmless in the moment, but stacked over time, they shape your entire future. See, people like to blame their situation. They blame where they were born, who raised them, what they don't have, who didn't help them. But at some point, you have to stop pointing fingers and start taking ownership. Ownership is power. The moment you accept that your life is the result of your decisions, you also accept that your life can change the moment your decisions change. That's freedom. 2026 will test you. It's going to ask you who you really are when nobody is watching. When you're tired, when you're discouraged, when results are slow, and in those moments you won't rise to your goals, you'll fall to the level of your decisions. If your decisions are weak, your results will be weak. If your decisions are strong, consistent, and disciplined, your results will eventually catch up. A lot of people say they want success, but their decisions don't match that statement. They want success, but they avoid discomfort. They want growth, but they hate sacrifice. They want change, but they refuse to change their habits. You cannot keep choosing the same behaviors and expect a different outcome. That's not faith. That's fantasy. Decision-making is where your future is born. One decision can change everything. The decision to walk away from what's holding you back. The decision to stop entertaining negativity. The decision to invest in yourself. The decision to keep going when quitting feels justified. These are the decisions that don't make headlines, but they make destinies. And let me tell you something else. Good decisions are rarely easy. If it was easy, everybody would be successful. The right decision usually feels heavy. It comes with fear. It comes with doubt. It comes with uncertainty. But fear doesn't mean you're wrong. Fear often means you're standing at the edge of growth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. In 2026, you're going to have to decide who you're becoming. Not who you used to be, not who people expect you to be. Who you are committed to becoming. That decision will require you to say no to things you used to say yes to. It will require you to walk alone sometimes. It will require you to delay gratification. But delayed gratification is the down payment on greatness. Your decisions also determine your standards. What you tolerate becomes your lifestyle. If you tolerate laziness, excuses, and mediocrity, that's exactly what your life will reflect. But the moment you decide that certain behaviors are no longer acceptable, your life begins to upgrade. You don't rise by wishing. You rise by deciding. Stop waiting for clarity before you act. Clarity comes after commitment. Most people want a guarantee before they move, but life doesn't work like that. You decide first, then the path reveals itself. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you make a decision and honor it, you strengthen your self-respect. Every time you break it, you weaken your belief in yourself. 2026 is your opportunity to decide differently. Decide to be disciplined instead of emotional. Decide to be consistent instead of intense. Decide to be patient instead of impulsive. Decide to grow instead of complain. Your future is not hidden. It is being written daily by the decisions you make when no one is forcing you to choose better. Most people think motivation is the secret ingredient to success. They wait to feel ready, inspired, or confident before they take action. But feelings are unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. One day you feel unstoppable. The next day you don't feel like doing anything at all. If your progress depends on how you feel, your life will always move in circles. That's why discipline matters more than motivation, especially in 2026. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early when your bed feels too comfortable. It's working on your goals when nobody is watching, applauding, or encouraging you. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. Motivation is emotional, but discipline is a decision. And decisions, when repeated daily, become habits. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Successful people are not more motivated than you. They are more disciplined. They have trained themselves to act regardless of mood. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They move when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable. That's why they win when others quit. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. And you build it by doing small, uncomfortable things consistently. Not big dramatic actions once in a while, but simple actions done every single day. Reading 10 pages. Exercising for 20 minutes. Practicing your skill when you're tired. Showing up on time. Keeping your word to yourself. These small acts don't look impressive, but over time, they compound into extraordinary results. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with discipline is because they keep negotiating with themselves. They say, I'll start tomorrow, I'll do it later, or I deserve a break. And sometimes rest is necessary, but most of the time it's just disguised laziness. Every time you negotiate with weakness, weakness wins. Discipline means removing the option to quit. It means deciding in advance what you will do, no matter how you feel. In 2026, you're going to have days when motivation is nowhere to be found, days when progress feels slow, days when quitting feels justified. Those are the days that define you. Anybody can show up when they feel good. Very few people can show up when they don't. That's the difference between average and exceptional. Discipline also protects you from self-sabotage. When you're disciplined, you don't rely on willpower alone. You create systems. You structure your environment so that good decisions become easier and bad decisions become harder. You plan your day instead of reacting to it. You set boundaries instead of making excuses. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. A disciplined life creates confidence. Not the loud kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind. The kind that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you do it, your self-belief grows. When you consistently break promises to yourself, your confidence erodes. Discipline rebuilds that trust. People often think discipline will limit their freedom, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. Financial discipline gives you options. Physical discipline gives you energy. Mental discipline gives you peace. Emotional discipline gives you stability. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have over your life. In 2026, discipline will require you to let go of instant gratification. Social media, entertainment, comfort, and distractions will constantly pull at you. The world rewards distraction, but success rewards focus. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things consistently. Discipline is choosing what matters most and protecting it at all costs. There will be moments when nobody notices your effort, when it feels like your work doesn't matter. But discipline doesn't work on applause, it works on accumulation. Every disciplined action is a deposit into your future. You may not see the results immediately, but they are being stored, quietly growing. The people who win in 2026 won't be the loudest or the luckiest. They will be the most disciplined. The ones who kept going when it was boring. The ones who stayed committed when it was hard. The ones who understood that discipline is not a punishment. It's the bridge between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. Fear has stopped more people than failure ever could. Failure teaches, but fear paralyzes. Fear keeps you standing still, overthinking, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. It whispers lies that sound like logic. It tells you you're not ready, not good enough, not experienced enough. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll stay exactly where you are while time keeps moving forward without you. The truth is, fear will never disappear. Not when you start. Not when you grow. Not even when you succeed. Fear shows up whenever you step into unfamiliar territory. That's how you know you're on the edge of something meaningful. Comfort feels safe, but it never leads anywhere new. Growth requires you to walk into rooms where you don't feel qualified yet and trust that you'll figure it out along the way. Most people wait for confidence before they take action. But confidence is not a prerequisite, it's a result. You don't become confident and then move, you move, and confidence follows. Every time you do something scared, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't control you. And every small win builds momentum. Courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Fear often disguises itself as preparation. People say they're researching, planning, or waiting for the right time, but deep down, they're just afraid to start. Preparation has a purpose, but endless preparation is just procrastination wearing a mask. At some point, you have to step out, even if the plan isn't perfect. Clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. One of the biggest fears people carry is the fear of judgment. The fear of being talked about, laughed at, misunderstood, or criticized. But let me tell you something, real people are going to talk whether you try or whether you don't. They'll criticize your attempts and your inaction. So you might as well do something worth talking about. You cannot build a meaningful life while trying to please everyone. Fear also shows up when you start outgrowing your current environment. When you decide to think bigger, act differently, or aim higher, not everyone will understand. Some people will question you. Some will doubt you. Some will feel uncomfortable because your growth reminds them of what they're not doing. That resistance is not a sign to stop, it's a sign you're changing. Another fear that holds people back is the fear of failure. But failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than most people have tried. Failure is feedback. It shows you what works and what doesn't. The only real failure is quitting or never starting at all. In 2026, you're going to have to stop letting fear make decisions for you. Fear is a terrible leader. It always chooses safety over progress. It keeps you small, quiet, and comfortable. But comfort doesn't build confidence, and safety doesn't build strength. Growth demands risk. There will be moments when your heart is racing and your mind is screaming to turn back. That's when you lean in. That's when you remind yourself why you started. Fear loses power the moment you act. It doesn't disappear, but it no longer controls you. Faith plays a powerful role here. Faith is believing before seeing. It's stepping forward without guarantees. It's trusting that if you do your part, the path will open. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on what could go right. And in 2026, you have to decide which voice you're going to listen to. Fear will tell you to wait until you're ready. Faith will tell you you're ready because you decided to start. Fear will point out every obstacle. Faith will remind you of your ability to adapt. You don't need to know every step. You just need to take the next one. Every breakthrough in your life will require you to do something that scares you. Speak up, show up. Try again. Bet on yourself. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't get to drive. You drive. And the moment you stop letting fear decide your direction, you step into a version of yourself that has been waiting for you all along. Your habits are quietly shaping your future every single day. Whether you pay attention to them or not, they don't announce themselves. They don't demand recognition. They simply repeat day after day, building the life you wake up to. That's why habits are more powerful than goals. Goals are what you hope for, but habits are what you live. In 2026, if you want real change, you're going to have to stop focusing only on big dreams and start focusing on small daily behaviors. Most people underestimate the power of consistency. They think success comes from massive effort done once in a while. But life doesn't work like that. Success comes from ordinary actions done repeatedly. What you do when no one is watching matters more than what you do when everyone is watching. Your daily routine is your real resume. Bad habits don't ruin your life overnight. They slowly wear you down, skipping responsibility here, making excuses there, choosing comfort again and again. It feels harmless in the moment, but over time, those choices compound into regret. Good habits work the same way, just in the opposite direction. They may feel insignificant at first, but they build momentum. They create progress that becomes impossible to ignore. One of the reasons people struggle to change their habits is because they aim too big too fast. They try to change everything at once, get overwhelmed, and then quit. Real transformation doesn't happen through dramatic overhauls. It happens through small, sustainable changes. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Your habits also reflect your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. If you see yourself as someone who quits when it gets hard, your habits will match that belief. But when you begin to see yourself as disciplined, focused, and committed, your actions start to align. Identity drives behavior. Change how you see yourself and your habits will follow. In 2026, you're going to have to take an honest look at what you do every day. How you start your mornings, how you use your time, who you listen to, what you consume mentally. Information, conversations, entertainment, they all shape your thinking. And your thinking shapes your actions. If you keep feeding your mind junk, you can't expect your life to produce quality results. Good habits create structure. Structure creates stability, and stability creates freedom. When your life has structure, you don't rely on willpower. You don't wake up every day wondering what you should do. Your habits guide you, even on days when motivation is low. That's how progress continues even when energy is gone. Another powerful truth about habits is that they either work for you or against you. There is no neutral. Every habit is either moving you closer to your future or keeping you stuck in your past. The key is awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Once you become aware of your patterns, you regain control. Habits also influence your environment, and your environment influences your habits. If your surroundings make bad habits easy and good habits hard, you're setting yourself up to fail. In 2026, design your environment with intention. Put reminders of your goals where you can see them. Remove distractions that steal your focus. Surround yourself with people whose habits push you higher, not pull you lower. People often wait for motivation to build habits, but habits create motivation. Action comes first, momentum follows. The hardest part is starting. But once a habit becomes part of your routine, it no longer feels like effort. It feels like who you are. Your future self is being built right now by the habits you practice today. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Every small choice matters. Every repeated action counts. If you want a different life in 2026, don't just set new goals. Build new habits that make that life inevitable. Consistency is the quiet force behind every meaningful success. It doesn't look exciting. It doesn't create instant results. Most people overlook it because it doesn't give quick rewards. But consistency is what separates people who start from people who finish. In 2026, talent will matter less than consistency. Intelligence will matter less than consistency. Even motivation will matter less than consistency. Many people begin strong. They feel inspired at the start of the year, the start of a project, or the start of a new goal. Energy is high, confidence is high, and commitment feels easy. But when the excitement fades and reality sets in, most people slow down or stop altogether. Consistency is what keeps you moving when the feelings disappear. The problem is, people want visible progress immediately. They want proof that their effort is working. But real growth is often invisible in the beginning. Like planting a seed, you don't see anything at first, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Consistency requires patience. It asks you to trust the process before the results show up. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing intensity with consistency. They go all in for a short period, burn out, and then disappear. Success doesn't require extreme effort for a short time. It requires reasonable effort for a long time. Showing up every day matters more than showing up once in a big way. Consistency also builds resilience. When you keep going through setbacks, delays, and disappointments, you develop mental toughness. You stop being easily discouraged. You learn how to adjust instead of quit. Every time you choose to continue, even when progress feels slow, you strengthen your ability to endure. There will be days in 2026 when your effort feels pointless. Days when no one notices. Days when it feels like you're putting in work but going nowhere. Those days are not wasted. Those are the days consistency is doing its most important work. It's building character. It's building discipline. It's building a foundation that won't collapse when pressure comes. Consistency also eliminates excuses. When something becomes part of your routine, you stop debating whether or not to do it. You don't rely on motivation. You rely on commitment. That commitment frees up mental energy. You stop overthinking and start executing. Another powerful aspect of consistency is that it compounds. Small actions done repeatedly create massive results over time. One workout won't change your body. 1 hour of learning won't change your skill level. One good decision won't change your life. But repeated daily, these actions transform everything. People often quit too early because they underestimate how close they are to a breakthrough. Progress is rarely linear. Growth comes in waves. Consistency keeps you in the game long enough to catch that wave. The moment you quit could be the moment before everything changes. Consistency also shapes identity. When you consistently act in alignment with your goals, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That identity shift is powerful. Once you believe you are consistent, your actions naturally follow. In 2026, you're going to face distractions. Social media, comfort, opinions, and comparison will constantly pull at your attention. Consistency requires focus. It requires you to decide what matters most and protect it daily. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things repeatedly. Even on your worst days, consistency matters. Showing up at 50% is better than not showing up at all. Progress doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. Some days you will move fast. Other days you will move slow. What matters is that you keep moving. Consistency is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. But over time, it produces results that speak for you. In 2026, if you commit to showing up every day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it's thankless, you will look back and realize that consistency didn't just change your results. It changed who you are. Faith without action is just hope, and hope alone will not build the life you want. Faith becomes powerful only when it is backed by effort, discipline, and persistence. In 2026, believing is not enough. Visualizing is not enough. Wanting it badly is not enough. You must move. You must work. You must act even when the outcome is uncertain. Many people misunderstand faith. They think faith means waiting for signs, waiting for perfect timing, or waiting for confidence to appear. Real faith means stepping forward before everything makes sense. It means trusting that the net will appear after you jump. If you wait until you feel ready, you may never move at all. Action is what activates faith. When you take action, even small action, you send a signal to yourself that you believe in your future. Action shifts your mindset from wishing to building. It replaces doubt with experience. Every step you take, no matter how small, strengthens your belief that progress is possible. In 2026, you're going to face uncertainty. You won't have all the answers. You won't know exactly how everything will work out. That's not a flaw in the process, that is the process. Growth requires uncertainty. If everything was guaranteed, courage wouldn't be necessary. Faith steps in where certainty ends. One of the reasons people struggle to take action is because they are afraid of making the wrong move. But standing still is also a decision, and it often costs more than making a mistake. Mistakes can be corrected. Inaction creates regret. Action creates feedback. Every attempt teaches you something valuable. Faith-driven action requires patience. Results don't always show up immediately. Sometimes you plant seeds in one season and harvest in another, but that doesn't mean your effort is wasted. Progress is happening beneath the surface, even when you can't see it. Trusting the process is part of faith. Another important truth is that action builds clarity. Most people wait for clarity before they act, but clarity comes from acting. Once you start moving, the next step becomes clearer. Opportunities appear when you're in motion. Doors open for people who are already walking, not for those standing still. Faith also demands responsibility. You cannot pray for a better life while refusing to do the work required to create it. Faith doesn't replace effort. It multiplies it. When you combine belief with consistent action, you create momentum. And momentum is powerful. It carries you forward even when motivation fades. There will be times in 2026 when your actions feel insignificant, when it feels like your prayers aren't being answered, when your effort feels unnoticed. Those moments test your faith. Do you keep going when there is no immediate reward? Do you trust that what you are building matters, even when it's quiet? Faith with action also requires letting go of control. You do your part, and you trust that the rest will work out as it should. That doesn't mean you stop planning or thinking. It means you stop overthinking to the point of paralysis. You move forward with what you have where you are. Your past does not disqualify you. Your mistakes do not cancel your future. Faith allows you to believe that growth is still possible, no matter where you're starting from. But belief must be followed by action. You cannot think your way into a new life. You must behave your way into it. In 2026, faith will ask you to step out before you feel confident, to work before you see results, and to persist before you receive confirmation. That is how transformation happens. When belief and action move together, progress becomes inevitable, and the life you once only imagined starts to take form.